I'ma keep winning, winning. I'ma keep winning, winning. Ooh.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Spot Real Talk. My name is Tiara.
I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Ron.
And today we are having a special roundtable with a special guest. I'm going to wait until everyone introduces themselves first to let you guys know who it is, though. So who wants to kick us off? State your name and location.
Well, I'm Chanelle. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, good.
I'm Chanelle. I'm originally from Harlem, but I reside in North Carolina currently.
Okay. Welcome. Mm-hmm. And next up, the other young lady.
Nomad. I'm originally from South Side of Chicago, but I
Okay. Gentlemen.
My name is Brandon. I'm coming out of Sacramento, California, all the way on the west side.
West side.
My name is Ryan. I'm in Burbank, California.
Okay. All right. That's a Cali guy. Okay, Cali represent.
We got Northern and Southern Cali represent.
All right. Last but not least.
And I'm Nathan. I'm from London in the UK. So
all right. Got our brother across the pond.
Across the pond.
Good to have you. Good to have you.
Well, we are so happy to have you guys with us. And now I can finally do the big reveal. So we are having a very special guest for our roundtable. You may know him as RSJ, who is currently on PowerBook 2 Ghost, or you may remember him from The Wire. Yes, Gbenga Akinnagbe. I hope I'm saying his last name right. Akinnagbe.
Akinnagbe. There we go.
Okay, yeah. See, I got to work on my pronunciation, but nonetheless, here we go. So enjoy.
Great costume designers. It starts to set the mood and the tone of like who we're about to do, who we're about to play, and what we're about to do. So I remember though when I first started acting and I was doing The Wire, it was and Chris is a dark character and he sees the world in a very dark, specific way. So and I was new to the industry, so it was I would take that with me when I left set, and that's a heavy thing to take. So it took a minute to learn that I could and then how to leave that on set. Yeah, that was the early days, and that's a good thing because Chris was a sociopath.
Hey, I want to ask if you got just a few more minutes with us because I've been having some recording difficulties. So if you got just a few more minutes, it seems like everything is okay now. So now that we have these folk, let's just continue to talk and just give us a few minutes more if you don't mind.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah, so I have a ton of questions. I didn't want to glaze over anybody else. If you guys had questions, you guys can jump in too. But I feel like I could just go on forever. But
of course, I know because having him is so epic. The character of Chris was like for me like the first boogeyman. Like when I think about Nelson on Ozark, if you're an Ozark fan, Gbenga, when I think of Nelson, like Chris was like the first Nelson. When you see Chris coming. He was the first boogeyman. But one of the questions I have for you is, as great as an actor as you are, I was really impressed about reading about your activism. I think that's awesome about you being an activist. And I even read about the time you were trying to save the magnolia tree in Bed-Stuy and everything and stuff. So talk to me about your activism. I would love to hear more about that.
I've been very fortunate in general, even before getting to do what I love as a living. I've had a very fortunate life, and so in my mind, this really isn't any choice. You have to give back and kind of add to the lives of other people, especially in your community, as best as you can. And maybe we all can do it. So to me, that's just it's just part of what life is.
And along the lines of that, I know that there's this kind of writing strike going on in a lot of the Hollywood shows right now and whatnot. And so, is there, because I see a lot of the actors participating and whatnot, but, as the fans, I'm kind of like, well, how can we help out too? We want to make sure that everybody feels supported, that some of our favorite shows continue going on. And, I wasn't sure if PowerBook 2 have been affected by that. as well. But I was just like, dang, like how can we support? Do you have?
I mean, everything. I thank you for asking that. Everything's affected right now. Like we shot PowerBook the season you're watching now. We shot it last year and it aired this year. And so I imagine this year is when they would start to gear up as far as what the next season might look like. But because of the strike, everything's on hold, and that can go for however long. I would say, and this is true about like all the other productions. I'm on a show called The Old Man on FX. Like that's down. They can't even start to generate ideas. You can't do any of that. So what I would say as far as what y'all can do, like, it's just hit up the studios on social media and tell them to pay what they owe.
Right.
Right. Only stand with the writers, to like pay fairly.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so y'all heard that, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, look, I used to be a member of AFTRA, so I know what it's about. But I want to go back to a question. It may be a little similar to what I asked earlier, but and people have asked, is Ron Samuels a man of two faces, or has he found his way? And the other thing is, with that question, is how did you make your wealth?
Those are very good questions. I would say that's yet to be determined as far as the question. You have to stay tuned.
Okay.
And I mean, like a lot of billionaires, I think his wealth is derived from diversifying businesses and industries. I think most billionaires are like into many different things. They start with like, it could be tech, and then they that tech then buys Whole Foods, and then and so on. And you can get into, from tech, you get into energy. Like it could be many. It probably, especially with that level of wealth, it's probably a number of different things. So I think that's how he made his wealth and how he continues to grow it. And when you start to get money, it's crazy. Like money begets money, so it gets easier to make more money when you have a lot of money, which is a wild thing to see. But it's not that I know, but it's just the laws of financing. Money. Yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of like I said, sorry guys if I'm asking too many questions, but jump in here.
Yeah. I was going to ask about 50, because I know I follow 50, and 50 is so hilarious on social media. And I remember seeing the post when he posted you and was like, where is this guy? And everything. And I got excited then, like, oh goodness, Gbenga's coming to power. So I mean, how did you feel when 50 pretty much put up the bat signal and was like, where is he? Let's find him. I want him on our show.
I woke up one Saturday morning and my phone was blowing up, and I had no idea what was going on. And then 50 posted you, and I looked, and like my followers had gone up, and like to the left and right, and so on. And I thought like, oh, this is wild. Like I got freaked out. Like, this man's reach is crazy. I had people calling me that I did not know. I had old neighbors calling me that I didn't know that had my number from years ago. Like, 50's looking for you. Better get that bag. I was like, this is wild. The wild thing about it was that, like, I was already going to do the show. 50, what he is a master marketer. Mm-hmm. And that show, I was like that showed it to me right there. I was like, oh, this guy, I don't think he was allowed to announce I was going to be doing the show just yet. So he was just like super clever with drumming up attention for it without just saying. It was like a master stroke. It's kind of scary because that was last year. People stopped me in the street saying, 50's looking for you. I'm like, it's like crazy.
That's so funny.
I'm like, he can find me. He found me. I'm like, already doing the show. Never mind.
Yeah, but it did the trick, because when I saw, I was like, oh shoot, Power's gonna get him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ryan, you step in here, man. Come step in, Ryan.
Okay. I don't know if anybody asked this question. Like, I'm pretty sure somebody already did, but are you like related to Ghost in any way, or is that to be to be determined.
Related to who?
Ghost.
Oh,
Told you.
that you have to wait and see.
We don't know. See, we've had Ryan on our show before, Gbenga, and Ryan still believes the ghost is not dead. So I'm not surprised to hear Ryan ask that question about.
I'm with you. I'm with you, Ryan.
There's a certain trend with power. You notice if someone dies, you see a body on the table. If you don't see a body on the table, they're not dead. If there's not a headshot, they're not dead.
You've been watching Omari's interviews?
Ghost ain't coming back.
Right, Ghost ain't coming back.
For now.
I tell you, man, they would really do well to bring St. James and you together. Because I mean, that would be a powerful season. You know, I can, man, I'm telling you, let me start writing the Writers Guild and after and say, okay, y'all guys got to get on this, man.
There's a couple of combinations that I would like to see come together, like you, RSJ and Noma. I kind of feel like I would love to see a scene with those two and see how the dynamic is there, because it seemed like Noma mentioned she was familiar with RSJ. And so I was like, oh, there's something there too.
That's a good love scene. I think you brought up. I'll
be
Well,
I thought about that too. But my conspiracy theory was like everybody was worried about Noma being the plug, but I was like, RSJ may be the real plug. Just hiding in plain sight, just like Ghost was.
Yep. Yeah.
I have a question.
Oh,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
When they writers approach you for PowerBook 6 Billionaires Row featuring RSJ, who would you choose to be a part of that cast of any actors that you work with? Who, like your top 3 to 5 like actors, who would you cast for that show?
Ooh, I've worked with so many amazing actors. That's hard. My mind automatically goes back to to some of my Wire fam. But I've worked with so many amazing actors. Who would I cast? I mean, I love the idea of Andre Royo, who played Bubbles.
Bubbles.
Yeah. Just it has a different character in that. I like your spinoff, by the way. Yep, you better pitch that. I think the Jeff Bridges.
Wow. He's awesome.
That's crazy.
Yes, we're doing the old man now, and hopefully he would be sick. Yeah. Yeah. I'll leave it at those two right there.
Okay. Cool.
Brandon, you had a question.
Yeah. So to take it off road from Power a little bit, talk about the Deuce a little bit, because I'm a fan of the Deuce. I think it's a great series, super classic. So talk about that in terms of, going all the way back to The Wire, how they're both on HBO platforms and they're both high level quality projects. So are those two related as far as, you personally as an actor, and how does that come about? Is it the same people reaching out to you? Is it the writers, like you say, how does that hand in hand? How does that go hand in hand?
Yeah, you're actually spot on. Those are both David Simon shows. David Simon, George Pelecanos, they creators and writers, EPs of The Wire. They also created that show, The Deuce, and I've been working with them, since I was 20, 21, 22. So that's my Wire family. Different projects together, and just they're my writing mentors. I'm just and so some of the same execs at HBO as well. Where oversaw both shows. So they're quality shows. They're amazing writers, and they have their cast of folks that you'll see some of David's other shows, and you see some of the same folks reappearing but in different characters, which is dope. There was a show that just came out not too long ago. We Own This City, and
saw that.
Great show.
And he was he played Dookie in The Wire. Now he's this grown detective. Or cop in We Own This City. Jamie, who played Marlo, he was in that as well. So you'll see our faces every once in a while.
I always think that's like a really great compliment to an actor when you keep getting asked back and people keep you in mind for specific roles and things like that.
It is a compliment, and I'm grateful for it.
Awesome.
So question?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's like a two-part question. First of all, like obviously you've been an actor getting to do what you love as a hobby. How would you describe like the difference in the industry, like from when you was doing The Wire, and how gritty that was compared to being on, let's just say, just in comparison to being on Ghost right now? And then just how do you deal as an actor, like, of like, let me say, the come down of doing like a show like The Wire, and you know that's in a lot of people's hearts and whatever, and just like, do you ever kind of get that buzz? What's it like not being able to get that kind of buzz back after doing a show as iconic as that? Like, what's that like dealing with as an actor?
Those are great questions. Like it is very different from when I first started doing The Wire to now. There's more television platforms. There's The Wire has actually changed television. Like all these writers, all these people who created these shows now that we love, they all watched The Wire. Like when The Wire was like the one that's like showed them like, oh, there's a different level you can. And they all strived for it. I'd be in room with producer after producer, and they would tell me that like I watched The Wire and I went to go create Breaking Bad. I watched The Wire and I went to go do this and so on. And then those people went and changed television with their amazing shows. So it's amazing to see, you know, to be now in this golden age of really good TV that was inspired by the show that I was lucky to be a part of, like, you know, 20 years ago. It's interesting as well, because when I first started doing The Wire, and when the show was over, it was a very magical experience. Like my Wire family would be together, like, and we were doing with the work that we were so excited to read the scripts every week. And then I did like my first show after The Wire, and I was sitting on set wondering why I was like feeling sad, you know, and I realized then, because it was like my first thing after, and I like, oh, everything's not going to be like that. And I thought everything was going to be like that, but you know, everything wasn't going to be like that. And I realized that The Wire was a very rare experience. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to have to find something special about all these projects. Even if I have to work very hard to do it, in order to not compare it to The Wire and to have it be its own thing, or else I'm going to be very unhappy. And so so that which was a learning opportunity for me. Like, okay, I shouldn't like judge everything against The Wire, and I won't compare it to it, so I can let it, you know, be its own thing, which is part of the reason I value more so my experience with the crew and the actors as opposed to the end product of whatever's going to come on the air. So it's mainly just about the experience I have with the folks I'm working with.
You know what's crazy about that, speaking about The Wire, when I watched it, it was in real time, and there was no social media back then. And then a few years ago, when it got digitally remastered and everything, and they aired it was like around Christmas or something, and they aired like all 5 seasons around that time, and it was during social media time, so it was a few years ago. And I tell you, when I say I barely left the house those days and stuff, and I got to tweet along with a lot of you guys and actors and stuff, since it was remastered. It was Isaiah Whitlock, several other actors, Michael B. Jordan, everybody was online. Poot, the actor played Poot, and everybody was tweeting along with the episode. And I felt like I was part of the community too, because I was a diehard fan. And then actually talking to the actors, and David Simon and several other people were like tweeting and giving background about some of the scenes and giving context and stuff. And so it made me fall in love with The Wire that much more all over again, because I'm like, and I was thankful that people who didn't get to see it in real time, like, because it was remastered and during the time of social media, now with new audiences were being introduced to it and everything. And I was grateful for that too, because that is a great show, and the writing was so solid, and the acting too. Like all of you guys, when I think about all the powerhouses, you're a powerhouse, and you know, and then Idris and Wood Harris and all these other people that came from that show that are still doing their thing. And then also to see you guys popping up in Power too is amazing.
Thank you so much for that. So much. The Wire was not an easy show to be a fan of because it was like so layered and so complicated. So you have to really, really lean in and do work. So you have to do work to be a fan of it. So folks who did that work, they feel like you an ownership of the show. That I appreciate that.
I speak to one of the people that caught on late because I was in college when The Wire was in real time. So I didn't watch much TV. But my husband, he put me onto it about 8 or so years ago. And we started to get the box set. And there was one season we literally researched, we could not find it. And I felt like I was on drugs. I was itching. I'm like, I gotta find this season. We finally found it. Oh my gosh. But The Wire, honestly, to this day, it makes me think about so many other aspects like education and politics and like The Wire really honestly opened my eyes to so many different aspects. So I'm just, kudos to you and your work in that show and, just everybody just really bringing a lot of things to light that, I never would have thought of.
Thank you so much. Yeah, season 4. Huh?
We found it in a record store. I think it was season 3. And I was just like, oh my God. Like me and my husband, literally, we binge watched all 6 seasons, literally like within weeks. Like I literally was late, not late for work, but I was definitely like tired when I was at work. Cause it was one of those things where that was probably the first show where I binge watched and it changed my life. Like literally, it opened my eyes to a lot of different.
Because it was so raw.
Yeah, it's okay, Chanelle. It's okay to tell the truth. You were late for work.
She was late. She was late.
You was late, right?
Well, Gbenga, I know that, we've been talking for a while and we want to be mindful of your time, but I really hope that you get the sense of like how impactful your work has been, how much we love you and your work and we support everything that you do. So, we are looking forward to seeing more of you as RSJ.
I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yes,
so before we go though, I need to ask what's next on your plate? Any directing, anything like that?
Yes, well, I directed actually a short that went to Tribeca a couple years ago. I'm doing more of that. I sold a show to NBC about a year or 2 ago, loosely based off my life about a young man who discovers wrestling. And so I've just been doing a lot more writing, which is great. Well, no, I'm still doing a lot of acting. I have a few coming out this year. But I've been, in addition to that, doing a lot more writing and hopefully some more directing after this strike is over.
Excellent.
Awesome. Well, we're looking forward to it. We are definitely going to keep up with you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
And Gbenga, I think I know a family member of yours in the DMV. I have to talk to your people later.
You probably do. There's a lot of us.
I think I do.
Okay, well, thanks again. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.
I'm just trying to be myself. It's a crazy world. Looking to find my place, and all they do is here I am, just trying to run the race in the slow pace. All I'm trying to do is run, not win, and all they do is mirror, mirror, tell me, what is it about them? Living like it's their game. Karma said it better than me, you'll just end up losing. Worrying